We have seen a number of players over the years go from absolute nobodies to household names based solely on their performance in one postseason.
I for sure have been underestimated, even just like in getting recruited, really my whole life just getting doubted as a player.
It may not be the kind of stuff to sustain an entire career, but hey, many of these guys bought an extra year or two. So today, we take a look back at 10 NFL unknowns that became stars in the postseason. Scotty Miller, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, WR. Scotty Miller might not have the star power of Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, but hey, for one pivotal moment in the 2020 NFC Championship game, he was the guy. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers clinging to a slim lead against the Green Bay Packers and time winding down in the first half, Miller delivered a play that tilted the game and arguably the entire postseason in Tampa's favor. With just 8 seconds remaining in the half, Tom Brady unleashed a deep ball down the sideline. Miller turned on the afterburners, blazing past Packers cornerback Kevin King to haul in a 39-yard touchdown pass. That play gave the Buccaneers an 11-point lead at halftime and crushed Green Bay's momentum heading into the locker room. Miller's speed was his calling card, and oh boy, was it on full display that day. The Bucs were able to ride that momentum to a 31-26 victory and a berth in Super Bowl 55. While he maybe didn't have a flashy stat line in the Super Bowl, Miller was no doubt a huge part of the postseason story for Tampa. Phil Simms, New York Giants QB. The 1986 New York Giants were all about their defense. Lawrence Taylor was an unstoppable force. The secondary was stingy, and they completely stifled opponents in the playoffs. But when Super Bowl 21 rolled around, it wasn't LT or Carl Banks stealing the show. It was quarterback Phil Simms. That's right. You see, Simms wasn't exactly known for lighting up the scoreboard, but on the biggest stage of his career, he delivered one of the most precise and efficient performances in Super Bowl history. The man was locked in. Simms completed an insane 22 of 25 passes, a record 88% completion rate for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns. When you have as many touchdown passes as incompletions, that's when you are playing on another level. The Denver Broncos had no answer for Simms, as he dissected their defense and kept the chains moving all game long. The Giants would cruise to a 39-20 victory, capturing their first Super Bowl title in franchise history. Malcolm Butler, New England Patriots, CB. Sometimes a singular moment is all it takes to etch your name into NFL immortality. And well, that's exactly what Malcolm Butler did in Super Bowl 49, delivering one of the most iconic plays in football history. Alright, let's roll it back and set the scene. The Seattle Seahawks were on New England's 1-yard line, down by 4 points with 26 seconds left in the game. It looked like Marshawn Lynch would punch it in and hand the Seahawks their second consecutive Super Bowl win. But, for reasons largely debated to this day, Seattle decided to pass. Russell Wilson dropped back, fired a quick slant, and then boom! Butler, an undrafted rookie who started the game on the bench, stepped in front of the throw, picked it off, and sealed the Patriots' victory. The play was as clutch as it gets. Butler's instincts and preparation paid off at the perfect moment, and his interception remains one of the most replayed highlights in Super Bowl history. He didn't just win the game for New England, he cemented himself as a postseason legend, and of course, built a very nice career for himself off of that performance. Tom Fears, Los Angeles Rams, WR. Alright, here's an old-timey one for y'all. Bet some of you didn't know this, but hey, the 1950 Rams were really the original greatest show on turf. You know, just hold the turf. And they still hold the single-season record for average points per game at 38.8. But once the postseason rolled around, they were somewhat held in check in the divisional playoff game against the Chicago Bears, scoring a relatively tame 24 points. Quarterback Bob Waterfield threw for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns, but it was wide receiver Tom Fears doing the majority of the damage and establishing himself as an early NFL postseason star. Fears caught 7 passes for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns, which still stands as one of the best statistical performances by a receiver in postseason history. From there, the Rams would advance to the championship game against the Cleveland Browns. Desmond Howard, Green Bay Packers, KR. If there's one thing the 1996 Green Bay Packers proved, it's that special teams can win championships. And no one embodied that more than Desmond Howard in Super Bowl 31. Howard, already a Heisman Trophy winner and standout return man, put on an absolute clinic against the New England Patriots. He returned 4 kickoffs for 154 yards, including a 99-yard touchdown that effectively sealed sealed the game in the third quarter. Oh, and let's not forget his 6 punt returns for 90 yards, bringing his total to a Super Bowl record 244 return yards. And he became the first, and still only, special teams player to win Super Bowl MVP honors. Frank Reich, Buffalo Bills QB. Frank Reich's name might not resonate with casual fans, but if you bring up the comeback to any diehard NFL aficionado, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. In the 1992 playoffs, Reich stepped in for an injured Jim Kelly and led the Buffalo Bills in a game that is still considered the greatest comeback in NFL history. Down 35-3 to the Houston Oilers in the third quarter, it looked like Buffalo's season was all but over. But, Reich did not get that memo. He orchestrated an unbelievable rally, throwing 4 touchdown passes and leading the Bills to a 41-38 overtime victory. This comeback wasn't just improbable, it was historic. But Reich wasn't done yet, though. He followed it up the next week with another strong performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, completing 16 of 23 passes for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns in order to send the Bills to their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Larry Brown, Dallas Cowboys, CB. There was a lot of Dallas Cowboys in the 1990s that got way more attention than cornerback Larry Brown. But the performance that he delivered during the 1995 NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 30 made him a star to Cowboys fans. This team, with bona fide Hall of Famers all over the roster and stars like Troy Aikman at quarterback, Deion Sanders opposite him as the other corner, Emmitt Smith as running back, man, the list just goes on and on. Oh, the playmaker, Michael Irvin. Well, you get the point. Anyhow, Larry Brown existed in the background of the Cowboys story all season long, and in the shadows of fellow cornerback Deion Sanders, but let me tell you, he emerged as the hero and a star in that year's Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brown intercepted a pass in the third quarter and returned it 44 yards to set up a 1-yard Emmitt Smith rushing touchdown. Then followed that up with a second interception with 4 minutes left in the game, returning it 38 yards to set up another Smith touchdown, which, by the way, clinched the victory. Tim Tebow, Denver Broncos QB. Honestly, this is a tricky one because in many ways, Tim Tebow was already a star off the field thanks to his larger-than-life personality and the massive following that he gained during college. And, in a weird way, the epic performance that he put forth to win the 2011 AFC wildcard game, which also threw a massive ripple into his career because of the avalanche of attention that followed. It was one of the biggest upsets and, in some people's eyes, biggest flukes in NFL postseason history. But by channeling some mysterious forces, Tim Tebow, one of the NFL's worst passers, managed to scrape the NFL's #1 ranked defense in the wildcard game. Tebow completed just 10 of 21 passes, but they went for 316 yards and 2 touchdowns, including an insane game-winning 80-yard touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas during overtime. The NFL was already hopped up on Tebow mania, but after this game, it really went berserk. Tebow, however, got boxed out of Denver when the Broncos were able to bring in Peyton Manning, and the circus that followed him left him with very few options from that point on, eventually forcing him to settle for an ill-fated role with the Jets. So while his star went supernova during the 2011 postseason, it also presented some serious challenges for him long-term. Vernon Perry, Houston Oilers, safety. They may not have completed a run to the Super Bowl, but Vernon Perry's performance in the 1979 AFC divisional round matchup with Dan Fouts and the Chargers was enough to make him a star, and he did so as a 26-year-old rookie playing in the NFL for the first time after a stint in the CFL up north, thus adding to the legend of his performance. Perry intercepted Fouts, a future Hall of Fame quarterback, 4 times during that playoff game, tying a single-game record and also managed to block a field goal, which, by the way, he returned for 57 yards. Timmy Smith, Washington Redskins, RB. There's big game performances, and then there is what Timmy Smith pulled off in Super Bowl 22, a jaw-dropping, record-shattering display that nobody saw coming. Not to mention his other 2 solid outings leading up to the final game of that season. Now, keep in mind, this all came during the 5th-round pick's rookie season, during which he carried the ball just 29 times. But when the postseason rolled around, the Redskins decided to roll the dice and hand him the keys to their ground game. And oh boy, did that gamble pay off. Smith rushed 22 times for 204 yards and a touchdown, an average of more than 9 yards per carry, setting a single-game Super Bowl record. Smith was a big part of Washington's 35 45-point second quarter, which tilted the scales permanently as they defeated the Denver Broncos 42-10. And yet, for all the glory of that night, Smith's career turned out to be more of a flicker than a flame. That man never came close to replicating that success, fading into NFL obscurity not long after. But hey, which of the players do you think had the most impressive postseason performance for their team? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone notable that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then hey, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.